People who have been on game shows and won. What did you really win and how did it help your life? I was on a kids' game show in the late 80s with my brother. We won, but lost the grand prize, trip to Disneyland, in the bonus round, and were given a $500 gift certificate to a toy store instead. $250 each for a toy store was absolutely incredible for a couple of kids, especially in the 80s. I still remember that shopping trip. What did you end up buying? My brother bought a Nintendo and a couple of games. I bought a ton of Cabbage Patch stuff. Laughing out loud. Edit. I apologize for calling it just a Nintendo. I didn't realize it would be controversial. Back in the 80s the NES was the only Nintendo console, so that is just what we called it, a Nintendo. I guess old habits die hard. I bought a ton of Cabbage Patch stuff. Laughing out loud. As a child of the 80s, this is peak 80s. My brother was on Pyramid in 77 or 78, he got a lifetime of Rice-A-Roni. It was a case of like 48 boxes every year for like 3 years. We got a letter that the show was going off air and out of the Rice-A-Roni business. Cut us right off. P.S. My wife said it was a show called $25,000 Pyramid. That's why when I see these lotteries you get $1,000 a week or a lower dollar lump sum, I take that lump sum instantly. Don't trust anyone to be around for life. Lol. My grandmother was queen for a day. It's an older game show. She won a new living room set. Pretty nice for the times. She won a new living room set. Sounds like the ideal grandmother prize. Queen for a day. Is this a game show where you turn into one of the greatest rock bands of all time? She was the champion, my friend. I've heard of this show, but never actually got to hear/see it. If I recall correctly, the premise was that you went on the show, and basically told the audience about your hard times, problems, etc., and at the end of the show, they'd award the person whose tale garnered the most applause, using an applause meter. That person would win Queen for a day and get fabulous prizes. I'd imagine it was more about who told the most compelling story, than who had the worst life. My aunt was on it early 60s after my grandma died. She won a date with singer Del Shannon and a year's supply of RC Cola. Queen for a day, won a new living room set. Hope she's a fan of powder blue and lemon yellow. Fun fact, you get $300 if you get called down to contest row on The Price is Right and don't make it to the stage. Really? I thought you got parting gifts? Yeah, so I actually went on the show just before COVID hit and right before the showcase. During the commercial break, the answer guy, I don't know his name but not Drew Carey, came over to the contestants row and told us we all get $300. Wife made it to contestants row in around 1990. No cash prize then. She ended up with KFC, Spice Island spices and some type of electronic dictionary. I won the top prize, $500, on a quiz show called Inquisition. This was around 1999. The check arrived right before my car registration was due, which was helpful because I had just lost my job. I remember that show. The Inquisitor was effing creepy. Haha, yeah. The room it was filmed in was so small. You're not a chimpanzee by chance? Haha, no, I am a human. I share a lot of DNA with chimps but no more than anyone else. I won $125,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire about 20 years ago. After taxes, I still had about $80,000. I paid my car off, got a computer, was able to quit a full-time job I hated and take a more enjoyable part-time job, and went to college. Now I work at a job I love that I wouldn't have if I never got a college education. R.I.P. Regis. This story is amazing. You did everything right with the winnings. Right? That person is living the dream now. When the F did Regis die? July Skeptical. 2020. How was Regis off camera? He always seemed so nice. He was exactly as he was on screen. Very nice and charismatic. Oh, that makes me happy to hear. Is that your final answer? I won the showcase on The Price is Right. It was the spring break episode, so it was only college students. It was my senior year of college. Winning a new car and a bunch of other stuff made the last semester of college awesome. It's been 9.5 years and I still drive the car. So I guess it's changed my life in that I've never had car payments. What were the taxes like? Had to pay tax on the value of all the prizes as if it were income. Luckily I hit $1 on the big wheel and a nickel on my bonus spin and won enough cash to cover taxes. Lamau, damn you lucky. For real though. Well, instead of getting a bunch of free money, you get a bunch of free money. That's true for cash prizes, but for non-liquid rewards like cars you still pay taxes on the monetary value of the prize. However, since you can't just give 30 to 40% of a car to the IRS, this means the recipient has to pay the taxes out of pocket. For a lot of game shows this is actually enough to mean they can't accept these big, exorbitant prizes. Edit. User John Ziskeen pointed out something which I wasn't clear on. You generally still get money if you can't afford to pay the tax on something / don't want it and would rather just take the money, so it's not like you lose out on everything by getting priced out on taxes. Reddit link. Usually you win cash on top of the car though. Many people also sell the cars the win and just take the cash value minus the taxes owed. As a side note, that is mainly true in the USA. In most other countries, Western at least, the tax is paid on the other side of the competition. The UK doesn't tax prizes at all. This is pretty awesome. What else did you win? $11,000, 2 surfboards and wetsuits, a week trip to Sandals, Bahamas, and a few other odds and ends like a printer. And a snack from me. I'm rich. What kind of car? 2011 Mazda Miata. Lot of value left in that car. I'll drive it until the wheels fall off. Ah. Miata is always the answer. Nice ride. My high school drama and speech teacher was the friend someone called for a phone a friend option on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Back when Regis was still the host. The guy who called him shared a portion of the money with my teacher, like 20-30K, and my teacher used the money to adopt a baby. This is cool. So nice of him to share. I don't think it was his baby. Holy crap. That's an amazing game show winning story. Think about that kid now, their current family situation hinged on that answer. Not really a game show, but for those who remember Bozo Circus, I got to play the grand prize game, every Midwestern child's dream. How did it help my life? For every bucket you hit, out of 6, you get a bunch of toys / gifts. I think I got to bucket number 4 or 5, they're much smaller in person, and we drove home with a car full of toys, games, and Bozo hot dogs. As a child, it was pretty epic. Edit. Thank you for the silver. It makes up for missing bucket number 5 and 6. The 7-year-old in me is very jealous. My girlfriend and I were on Shop Till You Drop and won big. I still use the dishes every day. The trips? It was a long time ago, I won was decent. I paid the taxes on my winnings with a check before leaving the lot. It took months and months for all the deliveries to come in, which was weird. I sold off some of it, used a lot of it, and can't find the episode anywhere. How did it help my life? The producer became a friend of ours and helped me propose to my game show partner girlfriend, and we're still happily married 15 years later. Oh my gosh. I want to help you find the episode somehow. I watched Supermarket Sweep followed by Shop Till You Drop religiously every afternoon. Won $700 getting a question right on a radio call-in show. My parents gave me $100 of it and kept the rest. At the time I was annoyed. As an adult looking back, it was because we were flat broke. $100 was an insane amount of money to a 12-year-old in the 90s, and the rest went to crazy things like us being able to eat. So overall, not too bad. Oh, and when I was 20 I got to stand in a glass tube as a bunch of store vouchers for my local mall zoomed around me, and anything I caught I kept. Shoved them all in my shirt and walked away with a few hundred worth. Man, I always wanted to do the tube game and grab up the cash or vouchers. Pretty sweet. I'm sorry to hear you didn't get to keep your full $700, but I hope it helped you and your family through a tough time. I did the cash tube thing at a furniture store when Jay was 10 or so. I grabbed about $5. Was a major letdown. My work has won. We got it from a shoe store that was closing as we demoed the things they were moving to other stores. We busted it out for our Christmas party last year. Fake bills, but whoever could grab the most in 30 seconds got a $100 Amazon card. I remember the first time I had $100 after growing up very poor. It felt like so much money. And the things I bought as a teenager seemed to have so much more value than the things I buy now that I'm adult with a decent amount of money. I still have the comforter from my favorite childhood show that I bought the first time I was given money as a birthday present. I was 10, and I believe it was $25. An absolute fortune. I was on Let's Make a Deal in 2016 and I won a new car. It was actually perfect timing because my old car was on its last legs and I had started saving for a new one. Then I won a new one and the money I had saved paid the fees and stuff. I won the car in August but didn't actually get it until November when the episode aired, but they drove it to my apartment and had me sign the deed and it was all pretty painless. I had heard rumors throughout life about winning on game shows costing you and things like that. I guess because I already had some money saved for fees and taxes it ended up really painless. Got a brand new car worth $16K for about $3K in fees and stuff. Totally worth it and would totally recommend it. Here's a tip. If you ever go to one of those game shows that pick contestants out of the audience, they have a producer briefly interview everyone, usually in groups, beforehand, and as long as you're lively without being theatrical, and seem interesting without being crazy, you have a good shot at being picked. When the producer was interviewing the 20-member slot of audience members I was grouped with, he asked everyone their name and what they did and one interesting fact about themselves. And one random guy who desperately wanted to be on TV started doing the worm there in the interview area. You could immediately see on the producer's face that though he was forcing laughter, that's definitely not what they're looking to put on TV. Loose cannons are a big no-go. I would have loved to see the worm dude. Haha, does the worm please stop that? Worm dude tried so hard. He sat right on the floor as close to the action as he could, and every time there was a commercial break, he got out of his seat and danced like 50-year-old Napoleon Dynamite. He was so animated whenever Wayne Brady walked by they had to ask him to move further back. And to this day, he's still out there, hoping that one day he'll worm his way to success. An old friend used to hold the record for Plinko. He's a nutcase. The audience lapped that crap up huge. And yes, he really is that weird IRL. YouTube link. It's a shame he wasn't more excited about it. First real advice. My mom and I went to The Price is Right and my mom got called down, got on stage, and won her game. She did not win her wheel spin unfortunately. But she won $10,000 cash from her game, so that was pretty good. Can't complain about winning a bunch of cash. I think about 30 to 40% went to taxes. That's a damn nice win. What a fun experience that must have been. One of the most fun and also most exhausting experiences I have ever had. Seriously, I just remember being absolutely wiped afterward. Ironically, she seemed to be on a roll before the wheel spin. She also fell over trying to spin the wheel, so you're not wrong. That thing is heavy. I won $15,000 on Millionaire, with Meredith, not Regis. I kept $11,200. I had to wait 4 months for the episode to air and another month after that to get paid. Went to England and did a few smaller travel things with it, and then used it to rack up as little debt as possible in grad school. I will forever call it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and not just Millionaire. I don't remember the amounts that you stay at if you lose after a certain question, but how high did you go? Did you use your lifelines up quickly? Did your buddy not cheat to help you? Did you miss on an easy enough question because you were under pressure? I quit on the 10th question, which is one of the safe questions. I was making very little money at the time and told myself I would play a super conservative game. I used my first lifeline early because I was nervous, used another to play it safe, and used my last one on the question I quit on. They had discontinued Phone a Friend right before I went on. Otherwise, my brother probably could have figured it out. Phone a friend surely turned into get someone to Google that for you at some point. Yeah, my buddy was the friend in a phone a friend, and basically the contestant told him, look, here's the time frame I might call, just sit with an open Google window. I'd be the worst person to call since I have a loud mechanical keyboard. I can imagine some worse people to call. The UK version seems to have found a way around it though. On the other hand, whereas the US version discontinued this lifeline, the UK version continued to use this lifeline, but instead changed how the lifeline worked. Instead of leaving the selected friends at home, the contestant selects their friends ahead of time, and the show brings them backstage and places them in isolated soundproof booths, where they will not see or hear anything that goes on in the main studio until they are called for assistance, and they will not have any access to the internet. Web link. I have a client who is very well known in quiz circles, and since he has retired, his life revolves around quiz leagues. For this reason, he's been picked as a few people's friend on Whoopbam in the UK. He said that on the day of filming, someone from the production team comes and sits in his house in case his friend gets past the first round, and then he is called as a friend. He's never been to the studio. I won a few thousand on Jeopardy a few years ago. It allowed my wife and I to finally go on a honeymoon 2 years after getting married. Maybe not life-changing on a grand scale, but definitely made our lives a bit better. Awesome. Any good Alex Trebek memories? I'm not up. But in 1996, my older brother was born. At the time, my dad was deployed as a mechanic in Bosnia, but he had been allowed back to Frankfurt for a week for the birth of my brother. He was there to hold my brother, and then nearly immediately had to leave. On this particular flight, he was naturally quite disheveled, and so he wasn't paying attention to what was going on. He sat down, and a few minutes into the flight, heard a familiar voice. And surely enough, sitting right beside him, was Alex. Alex was flying to Bosnia to scout people for an armed forces special on Jeopardy, and he had a long conversation with my dad about fatherhood and whatnot. Seems odd to think of the presenter scouting for contestants when that's usually the domain of producers backstage. I wonder if he was also shooting some video questions or something while he was there? Edit. So a couple of people have pointed out how deeply involved he was in the whole production of the show. What a legend. With his recent passing, I vote to induct him into the Internet Hall of Good Guys alongside Mr. Rogers, Bob Ross, and Steve Irwin. I imagine he must have been doing some video as well with it. All kinds of publicity stuff went on there during the war. My dad had to evacuate Hootie and the Blowfish off a stage because a Chinook was making a crash landing. Did you mention that during the little Q&A session in the Jeopardy round? I swear I remember seeing that on an old episode that was recently added to Netflix. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.